Let's be real, sometimes our dreams aren't subtle. They drop a storyline on us like, here's your trauma, dressed up as a metaphor, deal with it. Welcome to Dreams That Expose Our Patterns, the series where I pull apart the dreams that hit too hard to ignore, mine and maybe yours, and dig into what they are really trying to tell us. Because our subconsciousness doesn't waste time. The patterns we refuse to look at, they show up in the dreamscape with full production value. If you have been waking up from weird dreams wondering what they mean or suspect they might be showing you more than your brain just being random, this series is for you. The first one I'm talking about today smacked me in the face. Let's dive directly into my dream and then we pull it apart, and then I invite you to look at your own dreams. So I was at my godparents' house, or something very close to that. My godmother is in her late 80s, and in real life, my mother and her aren't on speaking terms. But here they were, talking to each other in the very big, fancy, expensive living room, piano left. They were talking like nothing had ever happened, united in one thing: their disappointment directed at me. I wasn't even involved in the conversation. I was on the far other end of the very spacious living room, and I didn't say anything. I let my mother leave without trying to contact her and tried to approach my godmother. But to sum it up, that didn't go anywhere. She shut down, there was no getting through. Then I stopped trying, and instead of leaving, I went upstairs in their house and I started hiding around corners, behind doors, in empty rooms. I didn't want to be seen, but I also didn't disappear. I started cleaning their house in secret, taking out trash, watering plants, declutter, cleaning the bathroom sinks, scrubbing the floors, whatever you can think of. And at one point I ran into kitchen workers, part of some renovation going on in one of their kitchens. Like, my godparents are rich. So they have a mansion, basically. The kitchen workers confronted me, demanded to know who I was, and then I gave them a different name. While they were still trying to figure out if it was valid or not that I was here, I snuck away, and at that point, the setting changed. It stopped being my godparents' home and morphed into something big, public, curated. I think the closest I could call it is a resort, like a huge building with tons of balconies and a pool beneath a loose fabric canopy, like a big cabana roof stretched above it. That's the best way I can describe it. I was still avoiding people wherever I could, still running, jumping from balcony to balcony even, apparently doing parkours. And then 2 kids fell. I don't know where they came from. They just fell through the canopy and into the pool. One kid could swim and took off. The other sank. And my dream basically zoomed in. I saw the child slowly falling through the water, and that was the point where a song started playing in my head with the lyrics, "When I dream of dying, I never feel so loved." Then I sighed and said, "Here we go. I will regret this." I am not exactly the rescue type, right? I am not trained for this. I'm not very athletic, but still, I jumped from the balcony I was on into what felt more like the ocean than a pool. It was that deep. I used everything I had to get to that kid, pushed them upwards to the surface, and then, very close to the surface, the kid stepped on my shoulders, stepped on my head, to climb out, to reach the surface. I know the kiddo made it, but me? I got pushed under so bad. I didn't have the energy to get up again, and I knew it. And that's basically what I said in my head. See, I knew it. And then I woke up with the song, it's called Trampoline, still playing in my head. And that wasn't just any weird dream, that was a blunt, forced message from my subconscious. Layered, symbolic, and unsettlingly accurate. And I'm not just breaking this dream down here because I think my dream is special, it's anything but. I'm showing you how this process works for me, because once you look at your dreams symbolically, you will start to see just how loud your own subconsciousness has been trying to be. That's how a lot of my videos work, actually. Also the one where I shared my own tarot reading with you, and so on and so on. And if this is anything you like, please subscribe and leave a like. Back to the dream. My godmother and mother, two women not even speaking in real life, stood side by side, united in disappointment that felt worse than anger, and I didn't challenge it, I absorbed it, like I was used to being the one who quietly lets people down without explanation. And I believe their silence meant I failed. And that's not just about them, it's about how deeply I have internalized the need to be good enough for people who were never going to see me clearly. When you keep finding yourself in front of someone who already made up their mind about you, that's a pattern, not a coincidence. And instead of storming out or confronting them, I stayed, I hid, and I cleaned. Maybe if I worked hard enough in secret, I would somehow earn my way back into connection. No one asked me to do it. No one would even know, but still I did it. Took out the trash, watered plant, small acts of order in the middle of emotional chaos. Trying to create some form of peace in a space where I felt invisible. That's not dream logic, that's fawn response logic. That's what happens when love is transactional and approval is performance-based. Fix enough, be quiet enough, and maybe you will be safe. That emotional labor we do while hiding is some of the most exhausting because it's invisible and we never know when we are done. And then the strangers barging in, the kitchen workers tearing up the space and demanding answers. I wasn't prepared, I wasn't safe, I wasn't seen, I was just questioned with intensity. That's how it feels when you're doing inner work and outside forces suddenly demand performance, clarity. These figures weren't evil, just indifferent. Their job disrupted mine. That mirrors how real life works. You're finally healing something and then someone comes in their own blueprint and rips the floor out. And when they asked who I was, I just gave a fake name and ran. That wasn't as much fear as it was way more muscle memory. I have learned to mask, to perform, to say whatever keeps me safest. In the dream it was just a name, but in waking life it's often a version of myself that's easier to digest. The one who doesn't make things difficult, the one who blends in just enough to get out without confrontation. I still sometimes do that in my friendships. Hey, you are so easy to go with because you always go with the flow, and I am not always honest about what it costs me. Then the setting changed from a home into a resort, polished, public, performative, a place built for comfort, not for safety, and that is how repression works. It doesn't look like a scream, it can look like a smile. I was still running, still hiding, but now it looked pretty. And that shift matters because in real life, how often do we try to package our overwhelm in calm aesthetics, hoping no one sees the cracks? I was doing parkour, jumping balconies, moving fast, staying just ahead of something I couldn't name. That's what high-functioning coping looks like. Fast, efficient, impressive even. But the truth is, I wasn't okay. I was in survival mode. That's the thing about looking like you're managing. No one asks if you need help when you're still on your feet. And that soft roof gave out the second weight hit it. It looked like it could hold, but it couldn't, and that's the kind of boundary we build when we don't feel allowed to be solid. When we make ourselves flexible, adaptable, agreeable, until something finally breaks through. And of course, it was children who broke it, because nothing exposes fragile boundaries like the raw need of someone more vulnerable than you. And seeing the child fall in slow motion, the zoom-in moment wasn't cinematic, it was emotional hyperfocus. I couldn't detach, I felt everything. Before I moved, I felt it all already. That's how my nervous system works. Attuned, scanning, always ready to act. Not because I want to be the hero, but because I literally can't unsee someone else's distress. Especially when I've been trained to respond to crisis before I respond to myself. And the permanent scanning, attuning, pattern recognition is something I get praised for a lot in work fields and so on. It's just part of who I am. Then I react to the child falling. I knew it would drain me. I said it. I will regret this. And I jumped anyway, because somewhere in me, I still think being useful earns me belonging. And when the kid stepped on me to get out, I didn't even feel angry. It felt expected. Like, yep, that was the price of being the one who shows up. That part hit me the hardest. Because that part is the one I have lived in waking life more than once. And the lyrics, when I dream of dying, I never feel so loved, they were the thesis, basically. That's the story. The collapse is the only thing that gets you seen, that pain makes you lovable. That's just exhausting. And the song isn't just stuck in my head for no reason. It's stitched into the narrative. My nervous system thinks it needs to survive. This dream didn't invent new fears. It revealed old patterns. The one that play on repeat until we finally name. Even though this was my dream, I know the pattern it exposed isn't just mine. Maybe it wasn't a pool for you. Maybe it was a relationship, a role, a job. Something you carried even when it was breaking you. Something you held up because letting go felt like failure. The point is, you knew it was too much and you did it anyways. Maybe you're still doing it. If anything in this steered something in you, let this be your invitation. Not just to think about my dream, but to explore your own. Especially the ones that stuck, the ones you couldn't explain, but couldn't shake either. What were you trying to fix? Who were you trying to save? You don't need a dream dictionary. You just need to ask, what is my subconsciousness trying to get me to finally see? So if you had a dream that stuck with you, I would love to hear it, either in the comments or you can share it with me through email or Discord if you want to, with your name, Anonym or Anon, whatever feels right. And please, if you agree to this, I will feature some dreams in future episodes of the series. Because sometimes just saying a dream out loud is what helps you finally hear what it has been trying to tell you. Have a good day.